What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Football Chatbox. My name is Ryan, and welcome to the Game Week 36 podcast, episode number 111. In cricketing terms, this would be called. Forgotten the word as soon as I was going to say it. Nelson? Nelson? I don't know. But, Chaz, I'm joined by one of Australia's finest. Actually, I was going to say as well. We have 3 game weeks more to go. And for all 3 game weeks, I've got Australia's best FPL managers, starting with you. The next week we'll be having Mira, and the week after we'll be having Pete from FPL Sided. So I've got 3 of the best. um, so Chaza, you kickstart the end of the season, last 3 game weeks. How are you doing? How's the season been?
First of all, good evening to you. And I would look, finest manager, that's very kind of you. Best manager, that's certainly a questionable credibility on that front. But mate, I'm very excited. I know a lot of people have sort of checked out, but I've just found this season quite fun, to be honest. And I look forward to how the season will unfold, mainly from a Champions League and Europa League spot front. But outside of that, everything's kind of sorted.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, so we've had the Champions League semi-finals done, which we shall not talk about. Obviously,
We
yeah.
can talk about it if you want.
Okay. And then we had the Europa League and Europa Conference League games tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on which time zone you're in. And then obviously the race for European spots in the Premier League is heating up as well. So when we look at the fixtures, we'll be talking about motivation for some teams, some teams on the beach, or like you like to call it, we have blank game weeks upcoming because we're getting some championship fixtures in in the Premier League. You're like, how did this sneak in here? This should not be here, but the fixture calendar has put it there. So we'll be talking about all of that as well. And shout out to everyone in the chat as well, Tin and Freddy as well, and anyone else watching as well. Welcome. I should say we are 14 subscribers away from 1K. So if you are new and you're watching this, smash that like button. Try and get us to 1K subscribers as well, hopefully before the end of the season. Chaza, Game Week 36. I've got the fixtures up. What stands out for you?
Well, I think a big standout statement is that there's no doubles or blanks anymore, and that's what seems to have been the case in previous seasons. So we just kind of treat it as all regular game weeks for the last few weeks of the season. I mean, look, for the second time in 5 seasons, Arsenal have to do a guard of honour to the league champions in Liverpool. One side in the Emirates are now at Anfield. Anything that particularly stands out? Can I just say, I know we'll talk about it later, but I think there's a lack of table bonus opportunities
Oh,
this
yes.
weekend
Yeah.
that are realistic. And it is also the Chris Wood Cup on Sunday as well, considering Chris Wood used to play for Leicester City.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's not the answers you want, but in particular, there's just not much that kind of stands out.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, when we're targeting fixtures, right, we're looking at City that stands out right there, then obviously Forest and Brentford. Apart from that, like when I'm looking at like transfers to do this week, I'm not really looking at any other teams actually to bring in per se, because like it's just like it doesn't stand out as much. Obviously, we were hoping for a double, which is why both of us have actually saved chips to an extent. Oh well, I don't know. You've saved the AM chip, and you've saved it for the last because you said you were a morning person.
Yes,
So
that's correct. Yeah.
you obviously have that chip active. I've got the triple captaincy chip. And initially, if this was a double gaming, I might have been playing it this week on whoever was doubling. But now I have decided to use the triple captaincy chip as a get out of jail free card, hopefully, in terms of mini leagues and head to head. So if I ever need it in a head to head competition, I'm just going to play it there in one of the 3 weeks. So that's kind of where I'm potentially using the triple captaincy chip. Although we'll talk about captaincy this week as well because it's quite open. And I guess the same could be said for like next week and the week after as well, to be honest. So I guess we'll start with the fixtures, starting obviously with Fulham versus Everton. Is there any real FPL interest in this?
It would have been great from a table bonus perspective if Everton were still further down the table, but they're
Hmm.
not so much anymore. I think Everton have done okay recently. Fulham can be on and off. Considering Fulham like taking it up against the top sides, I kind of fancy Everton to get something out of this game. From an FPL general per se, I wouldn't say there's anyone particularly who stands out. Possibly Jimenez up front, but yeah, that's got. If you got Jordan Pickford, it might be a really good fixture for save points.
Yeah, true. Fair enough. I mean, Everton's clean sheet potential is not too bad as well. So yeah. Um, Fulham though, they need to kind of win this for obviously that eighth place, like we mentioned earlier. European spots in the Premier League are raising up. Fulham are currently, I think they've gone back to 10th, if I'm not mistaken, because of the Brentford win and all of that. They are currently they're 11th actually, but the distance between them and eighth place is Bournemouth, who are on 53. Fulham are 11th, 51. So it's tight, and a lot of teams are fighting for that eighth place spot. So they've got a lot lot to lose from this fixture if they don't get the 3 points here.
Yeah, no, they do. It's spot on because there's also a big possibility of opening up more European spots. So I'm in
Mm.
agreement with you. Fulham really would like to finish the season as best as they possibly can.
Yep, exactly. So probably Jimenez. I wouldn't look at Sessegnon because obviously got the yellow card and did get another early sub as well last week. So probably only Jimenez, and from Everton, obviously Pickford, if anyone actually went on a late wild card for some Everton assets. Moving on, Ipswich versus Brentford. Now this is a massive fixture in terms of Brentford again. Same thing like Fulham, European spots. Ipswich, on the other hand, they're probably preparing for a championship next season at this rate. A lot of Brentford assets are high up in terms of transfer list. A lot of us went and bought Brian Mbeumo last week. Wissa is another one who is hot property for this week as well. And Kevin Schade, who's secretly been getting points without much interest, but because now it's the end of the season and people are looking for punts, he's also now highly talked about.
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly so last time between these two sides, did it not end 4-3 at Brentford and Ipswich led twice?
You could be right. Let me have a quick look
Yeah,
at that.
please do. While you carried on having a look, I'd say Brentford dominant. If Brentford are leaky at the back, which they can be sometimes, it could be a decent game for Liam Delap from Ipswich Town, but not necessarily would take a punt on him. Bumo, Visser, I mean, they're kind of his standouts, as you've already mentioned. Could it possibly be, a game where Christian Norgard gets something out of it? Flecken could go on for a good score too, should Brentford keep their defensive credibility up. A great victory from them last week away at Nottingham Forest, and awesome for those that went table bonus assistant manager a week early.
Mm. Now, as you mentioned that, I did check. Yes, Ipswich were 2-0 up in the 30th minute, and then Brentford went on to get 3 before Ipswich equalized, and then Mbeumo got the winner at the end. In added time, 90 plus 6, basically. But Mbeumo got a goal and a penalty. He basically had 2 goals. Wissa had 2 goals as well.
Wow, so it really is a big game for both of them.
Yep, exactly. And they've had, even if you look at like all the other relegated teams that they played against, they've actually done pretty well. The two of them generally. And then obviously, yeah, Shard is one. You did mention Nogard as well. I should also add Nathan Collins and even Damsgaard. Generally, different punts as FPL picks as well. And then Liam Delap, if he starts, always a good option to destroy opponents' clean sheets, basically.
He is.
All right. So that's purely from Brentford. Those are the players that we'll probably look at. When it comes to captaincy, we'll talk about it again a bit more later. But moving to City versus Southampton. Now, this is a big game. Obviously, Erling Haaland was benched in the last game that City had. there's talk about like rotation for cup fixture and all, FA Cup and all, but then that's like a week away. So do we expect the same starting lineup from City, or do we expect Haaland to start? What's your
So Haaland didn't come off the bench in game week
no?
35. It would be surprised to Pep if he's trying to ease him back into it because he got injured last season for a good while. That he just straight up starts. He should just come off the bench in this game, which should be fine for Marmoush for another week. As you've mentioned, huge games, Kevin De Bruyne and that entire midfield. I think it's also quite a critical game for those, including myself, who are back double Man City defence.
Mm-hmm.
But they're quite susceptible to concede from time to time. The champions are.
1 second. So you say they're quite like they are very likely to concede. I've got the similar situation with you. I have double City defense as well, and I've got Guardiola and Ruben Diaz, and that's
Yes.
one of the reasons why I benched Ruben Diaz last week and started Guardiola, because I thought Wolves would score, and Wolves obviously had the chance, right? Rayan and Antonio obviously had that double block.
Forward.
At the first half as well, there was another really good chance that they missed. So I mean, but I am starting double City defense in this fixture because I look at my other defenders, like I'm not starting Munoz, who has Spurs, even though Spurs might rotate. And then I've got the likes of Arsenal, who are playing Liverpool. So I'm not looking at starting Arsenal defense as well. So I'm like, yeah, I might as well just start my double City defense. I mean, Southampton could score. They did so in game week 34 when we went double Fulham defense and thought Fulham would keep a clean sheet. But yep, very possible.
Yeah. But there you go, I'd say on that game.
Yeah.
I think also some people will probably go Pep on AM.
Yes, we'll mention that's that. So Pep is probably the favorite for AM for this week. Apart from that, I should also mention with Haaland, that, like you mentioned, he probably might not start from the straight off. He might come off the bench because they do have the Club World Cup as well. We have to consider. So there is that for City to play as well. They probably want to ease him in for that and not rush him in now itself, because if he gets injured before that, chances of winning that goes down a bit as well. Cool. KDB, I guess we expect him to start. Do we expect him full 90 minutes?
I'll go 75 minutes, but he definitely starts. I mean, let's face it, he's on a farewell tour now, and there is no reason why Pep will want to bench him. The cup gap, as already talked about, still a week away.
Yep. There's a question from Patrick in the chat. Can you go?
I love questions.
Yeah, can you go Bruno Fernandes to KDB this week?
This week's an intriguing one because West Ham
Yep.
are bad. Like, they already sealed their spot to the top flight a few weeks ago, but have they not like won in their last 7 league games or something like that? And I think for United, if they win and they're probably a hungover after making the European Cup final,
Yep.
there's merit in going straight to KDB.
The thing is, I don't expect too much of a rotator squad for United against West Ham. I think there'll be more of a rotation if they do make it to the final. More of a rotation against Chelsea than the West Ham fixture. But West Ham are just poor. But we'll get to West Ham when we come to that fixture. But I still think there is upside in going Bruno Fernandes to KDB.
I think so too.
And then there was also a mention from Freddie in terms of Embuemo averages about 12.75 points versus promoted teams. And we saw about 9.
Getting hard to ignore, aren't they?
Indeed. Yeah. And then if you hear Savinho starts, could be worth a punt. With Savinho, I don't know, because like he is like if I want to take a punt this week, I also still want them for at least the next 2 weeks as well, potentially. Especially like midfield spots or even forward spots, attacking spots, I would want them for the next couple at least. And Savinho, you're going to have this issue of like, oh, he'll be okay this week if he starts. Then next week, you're not even sure if he's going to play or not.
I do think it's just not worth going there. You give yourself an unnecessary headache in the final weeks of a season where it's an opportunity to go for punts where you know they're going to start. They're different. It's a way to chase up your mini league and going into the minefield of that City middle of the park
Mm,
sort of players, you're asking yourself for trouble.
mm, yep. Indeed. Fair enough. All right. Next one is Wolves versus Brighton. Oh.
Just getting the Cunha surfboard out.
You see surfing though.
Yes, that was me. No, I promise it wasn't a mannequin challenge.
But Matthias Cunha obviously linked with a move away from Wolves. My Game Week 34 captain who did really well. Now Brighton, obviously, few players back, had a good performance against Newcastle, but there were 3 penalty shoutouts against Newcastle as well, and only one was given. I think another one could have potentially been given as well at times. Cunha, is he a good option this week?
Absolutely, he is. Yeah, I think he's only just behind Yoan Visser, and we've got the conversation where there's a lot of upside just going for the strikers who you believe have got the best fixtures in the last 3 weeks of the season. But if it was, for example, game week 26, people would be more cautious in holding and rolling their transfers, for example, any obstacles such as a blank game week. But for this one, it's just all to play for. There's no blanks or doubles. You just aim for the best fixtures. And I believe Cunha can score worldies against anyone, not just goals. Have you seen his goal catalogue? He takes it 5 levels ahead.
He just goes bangers. That's
He
it.
just scores trainers, man.
Yep, fair enough. Ain't Nuri, on the other hand, would you start him in this game?
Yes.
Purely for attacking returns more than the clean sheet.
Just attacking returns. Yeah, I mean, Brighton at home. Brighton are a sort of side at this stage of the season, which tends to occur most seasons for them, where they're kind of already on the beach or checked out. So Wolves are safe, but more than that, they're playing really good football at the moment. So there's no reason why Wolves should be interpreted as an obstacle against you from going against those players or bringing them in.
But then you could say that Brighton, they had that chance similar to Fulham and Brentford to get to the 8th spot in Europe. Because they are on 52 points.
Pedro's still suspended?
Yes.
That's a big loss of him.
It is. Yep, that's for sure. Attacking wise, then that makes it like Welbeck being the only one. But you're probably not looking at Brighton attack.
Is this game week 36 or game week 4?
I don't know. But yeah. But like, again, if you were to pick right between now, this is where the punts and the rank chasing and everything comes into play. Between Visa and Cunha. Because if you look at it, both of these two teams play each other in Game Week 38.
That would be a really good fixture to end the season, to be honest.
Indeed. They both, I'll bring this up. Game Week 36 to 38 projected goals. So if you look at Wolves, they got 1.4, 1.2, and 1.6. 1.6 against Brentford at home. So Wolves have 2 home fixtures as well. Brentford have 2 away fixtures. But Brentford obviously have the slightly better fixture in Ipswich compared to Wolves. We have Brighton, Crystal Palace, and then Brentford at the end.
Yeah. Here's a better one. Well, just to add on, so Visser is the most transferred in forward with 176,000 transfers in. Cunha's not even second, he's third with 98,000 at the minute. Chris Wood.
Oh. Okay. Yeah,
which he's such a mystery case. I know we'll get to Forest shortly, so I'll save his talk for that. Out of the two, I'm only going Visser just. But it's more that what happens most of the time in FPL is where the majority pick a certain option, but it's always the differentials that shine and always score more. So in fairness, just go for the differential or who you believe will go for the most points, not necessarily what the entire crowd thinks.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's true. Yep. The thing with Cunha is, like, compared to Visa, Cunha, if he's such a bonus point monster that one goal itself is like 7 points, and he's already on a 9-pointer.
Yeah,
just like that. Visa, on the other hand, you have a lot of like Embuemo hogs, a lot of bonus, and then if Brentford's goals are quite split amongst other players as well.
Yeah. Sorry, just to add on, the difference between the two. Vissa loves a handshake with Mbumo anytime they link up.
Yep.
But with Cunha here, he loves doing a surfboard celebration to let people know what surfboards look like. Or he takes his shirt off, gets booked, and you can see his training bib underneath a wool shirt that he's wearing.
Fair enough. I mean, that's the problem with Cunha. You're buying the whole package, That's the problem.
Well,
Yep. Okay, fair enough. I think it's a very close call this week. I'm slightly edging it towards Visa purely because of that Ipswich fixture. But I think Cunha is also not a bad choice. Having said that, there was one in terms of should you go. There's a question from Simon on Ent-Nouri plus Marmoush or Diaz plus Cunha.
Diaz and Cunha.
Ooh.
Yeah, because as much as Marmoush is a great pick,
you're
up against Cunha, who I believe Cunha's got better game time security than Marmoush at the moment with Haaland coming back.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, now when you put it like that, yes. When I look at just this week, I was like, oh, Marmoush. But then when you look at 3 game weeks, then you're right. Yep.
Yeah, you're sort of, and the intention for managers making transfers now is that you don't make a transfer for someone knowing you have to get rid of them the next week. You kind of want to just keep them for season's end. Because more obstacles will come about and you have to find a way to maneuver and skedaddle your way around them.
Yep, exactly. Fair enough. All right. Moving on. Bournemouth versus Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa obviously chasing European spots, up 5. Bournemouth chasing the Conference League spot in the 8th place. So a lot to gain from both teams. This is a bit more of a harder fixture. Ollie Watkins obviously got subbed off early for Malin, who came on and actually did pretty well, to be honest. Bournemouth, on the other hand, Evan Nilsson is an option. Obviously, Bournemouth assets are more likely to be targeted come Game Week 38 than now. But still, if anyone's looking for options, would you go there this week? Probably not.
I don't think so. No, but it's not their complete avoid. It's just I believe there's better players out there. Evan Nilsson, if he was ranked top 5 best forward to bring in, he'll be 4th or 5th in my eyes. Great fixture, however, for who I believe Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins, because they've got something to play for Aston Villa.
Now, here's the question, because this was asked in the Aussie FPL group chat by Link FPL as well. And it's something that I'm also deciding. Morgan Rogers, would you start him or would you start Ismail Sarr?
Rogers.
Even though Ismail Sarr has Spurs.
Yeah, but I just believe Eze's in the better form than Sarr at the moment. Rogers, in these sorts of games, it is quite close. I just believe Rogers had more confidence about him as an asset through the course of his campaign in comparison to Ismail Sarr. When Sarr's on a patch, he does exceptional, but is he on a patch? I'm not convinced about him.
Though, in the last game.
Yeah. I'm going Rogers. What about you?
See, I've got Sarr starting right now, but then that might be more towards it just being Spurs and Sarr's EO being lower than Rogers. So if I was chasing, I really want a slightly lower EO player as well, who could do damage as well. The thing is, I don't know. It could be it depends on how Spurs do in the Europa League as well. If they go 120 minutes against Bodo Glimt, I mean, might be slightly more tempted towards Ismail Sarr, but it's close between him and Rogers. That's the only thing. But yeah, like you say, Rogers is probably not only plays for a better team, but he's also probably more secure for minutes. He's more of a we've seen Unai Emery. This guy just plays him 90 minutes week in, week out without any issues. Okay, one thing for me to consider, I guess, at this moment.
It's these 50-50 calls. I think it's just one of the things that has done me over as a manager this season. So it hasn't been obvious in terms of who to play or field. Play or bench, I should say, week on week.
And Rogers has been a main culprit as part of that.
Yeah, he's just been an amazing player this season. Fair play to him.
Yep. All right, so that's Aston Villa. Obviously, Aston Villa defense. I've got Aston Villa defense. I'm just starting Aston Villa defense in this ahead of Arsenal defense as well. Even though both have the same clean sheet probabilities, I'm at this moment starting.
I don't blame you. Get to Begunner shortly, but
Yeah.
one side has got something to play for, the other doesn't.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. All right, Newcastle versus Chelsea again. Two teams. Now this is a 6-point. Relegation 6-pointer, but this is a European 6-pointer at this point. Both eyeing for that top 5 in the Champions League. Newcastle obviously with coming from a draw against Brighton. However, they are playing at home. They generally do better at home. One thing is we kind of had to wait and see about Joe Linton. If he's out of this game, then that's a bit of a problem for Newcastle because he brings that energy in that midfield and that pressing as well. Chelsea obviously have found a way for Cole Palmer to end his drought of goals and assists, so he's finally got something on the score sheet. Obviously, Chelsea are playing in Europe this week, but it shouldn't matter too much. They are currently 4-1 ahead or something in their leg, so they shouldn't have any issues. Thoughts?
Great fixture for Newcastle and Alexander Isak. I think if Chelsea are sort of in a final, not sure how susceptible they'll be down back, but they could well be on a day such as this. So I am, full on Isak. Barnes Gordon's a bit of an intriguing obstacle. Probably a good fixture for Jake and Murphy as well. But it's a strange fixture, this, because I don't think this has got much rating in comparison to the others, despite both sides actually having something to play for. Maybe it is because we've seen Chelsea get a win. Palmer's got a goal. Then our direction and attention's gone elsewhere.
You mentioned Murphy and obviously Barnes Gordon as well. Now in the last couple of games, we've seen Murphy being the one who gets subbed out for Anthony Gordon coming on. Do we think Murphy starts this game? Because it's only Gordon looked good when he came on. Is there a chance that Gordon starts with Barnes on the right?
I think Murphy starts.
Purely for that defensive work he gives Trippier.
I think so, yeah. I just genuinely believe that Murphy has done enough to still keep a starting spot.
There was a question in chat from Chad in terms of he's deciding whether Isak for Visa or Murphy for Bowen.
Murphy for Bowen.
Yeah, probably because Isak will play at least 90 minutes if the game is still intact. Yep. Murphy, on the other hand, will most definitely get subbed.
I like Bowen for his fixture.
Yep, fair enough. Chelsea assets, obviously, not many of us own Chelsea assets anymore. Obviously, even if those who have Palmer probably, I guess, used to keep him, but no one's really going to buy any Chelsea assets. However, obviously, Palmer was heavily linked as a captaincy option for next week. Although we'll have to have a look again depending on how next week, how both teams in terms of Chelsea and United are looking at. But what do you think? Chelsea options? No?
I still probably wouldn't.
Fair enough. Ooh, I think that's basically Isak, keep, or is there a chance to sell?
Keep.
Keep. Yeah, fair enough. Same.
What about you?
I'm keeping. Because I think he's already been sold by quite a few managers when they offloaded during Gameweek 33. So I'm happy to keep as well. Man United versus West Ham. How do you see this game going?
Either a draw,
yeah,
or West Ham win.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, it's so strange because it's not even a table bonus game.
No,
the clubs are right next to each other, and that's been the trend through all of the games this weekend, which is a big downside for those playing what I'm calling the morning personship. West Ham, already mentioned about Bowen. Anyone else? I mean, Fernandez.
See, this is the thing. Bruno, there's a question because there was the question earlier which I asked you as well in terms of Bruno Fernandes. I think he might play this game because I don't see. Obviously, there was heavy rotation in Brentford, which is what we were expecting because of the Europa League game tonight. But I don't see a reason for United to rotate heavily. There will still be some level of rotation because I think they don't want to get players injured. That's one thing to keep an eye out for. But I don't know. I don't expect as heavy a rotation in the West Ham game compared to Brentford purely because of there's like more than a week before if we do get to the final as well. Just like slightly more than a week. That's kind of why I'm thinking. I don't know. I have a feeling it just might be another draw, this one.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, Bowen probably the only good West Ham option. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka played really well, got an assist. But I still wouldn't be looking at any defensive West Ham assets or defensive players to go and buy with 3 game weeks to go.
I hear you.
Yeah. Forest versus Leicester. I had a certain Anthony Elanga on the thumbnail.
That looks like last season's kit, doesn't it?
Was it last season's kid? I don't know. It could be. Is it?
I reckon it is, yeah.
Ah,
But
damn it.
what I like about the hand placement is he's holding the microphone.
Indeed. So, will Anthony Elanga be the talk of the show for Forest versus Leicester? Or will it be Sir Chris Wood?
It's a big game for Forest, isn't it? And all the talk is just, I'd say, about that side in general. Defensive assets, I mean, if you're loaded up on transfers and need to get rid of one, fair enough for going there. But I believe if you're sort of on 1 or 2, rolling on thin ice, could the transfers be better prioritised elsewhere? Chris Wood is the talk of the town. Matt Sells, like he's been an amazing keeper this season. Alanga, Gibbs White, more like take it pick. Or is it going to be one of those gems such as maybe a Ryan Yates who just scores a bolter or an Anderson?
See, this is a hard pick too. Like I had Murillo as well, and I benched Murillo when he decides to go and get a goal last week, and now he's flagged. I don't know if he's going to start even. So I'm starting him, hoping that he plays. But like even Williams, right, who got the assist for that, could be an option. But obviously, again, like same thing defensively. I'm not looking at defensive assets at this moment. I mean, there's only what you have 3 game weeks, so you have 30. Each game week is now like 33% chance. Like it's 1/3 of your season left. I am here thinking of taking a hit actually. So I'm thinking of like removing the likes of a Mateta or like a Visa, and even taking out Rashford, who I have, and bringing in someone like a Elanga, just to pile on to that. Like these teams that are playing relegation sides should be good fixtures, usually high scoring games as well. These are. So I'm just trying to like buy more tickets to the lottery at this point.
Yeah, and there was an article from the Scout too during the week who, in other words, a fraud. And the clubs to target are those facing the relegated sides in the last game weeks of a season. And I think Forest is a really good direction to go down.
So if you were the top 3 Forest picks.
Top 3 Forest picks, sure. I'm going to go Chris Wood, Alanga, Gibbs White. Only because I reckon Leicester may score. Last time out, it was 3-1. Jamie Vardy scored. Yates scored. Wood scored 2.
Wood scored 2. Ooh. Okay, we'll see. Hopefully this time Elanga is the one. Like game week 29 when he went and scored that. Was it a hat trick or something when everyone went and Captain Chris Wood? So hopefully that's the case. Leicester on the other hand, Jamie Vardy. Any love for Jamie Vardy?
Not this week. Possibly next week, however.
Okay.
Now, I just want to say, side net or point blank, Andrew, I hope you're watching this, but I just want to give out kudos to your message in the chat yesterday about how Vardy scores against Ipswich. I hope he does a tractor celebration. But what I'm saying is that's their comment.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to spread the message along. Fantastic sense of humour. I hope he does it.
Fair enough. All right. Moving on. Spurs versus Crystal Palace. Spurs obviously will be travelling away compared to United, who are playing at Old Trafford for the Europa League semi-finals. You still have that book?
It's a big night for him.
It's a big night for him. Is there a possibility Spurs will have a new manager? Ryan Mason in charge?
So I believe if Spurs win the Europa League and Spurs in the Champions League, I know I said that he might get sacked. It really depends on him. Okay. not necessarily the club trying to get rid of him.
Yeah.
If he believes that there's something there, and even I believe that there's something could be there for Spurs, as much as I sort of want them to like disintegrate into ashes as an Arsenal fan. I think he stays next season if they win the trophy. But if not, I could understand why he walks. He deserves so much better. From that club. I mean, this game, it's so funny about Crystal Palace. Everyone's going to ship him out, and I'm somewhat considering it. But last time out, Palace won 1-0 early in the season. Mateta scored as a assist. You know how much that could hurt managers?
Yeah, I am thinking of selling Mateta.
And so am I.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's so many good forwards with good fixtures this week. And I just feel sometimes you can't have everyone or be too greedy, let's say.
You have to take some level of risk as well, right? We can't just expect everyone to try and do well as well. Also, the other thing is Mateta has been getting subbed quite early or like recently, and
his minutes are concerning.
Yep, and Nketiah has been coming on, which is another reason why I'm more likely to sell Mateta than Ismail Sarr at this moment. But yeah, it's just that because his minutes haven't been that great. So that's kind of one of the reasons I'm looking to sell it.
And to add on what you're saying too with Palace, it's probably not a bad idea offloading one, because if you're still on Triple S Palace, which I'll say my man, Game Week 38 they're away at Anfield, so you kind of want to get rid of some of those assets.
You probably want to get rid even like before Game Week 37 will be after the FA Cup final as well. So we don't know what would happen from that FA Cup final as well in terms of if any injuries or something else.
It's a good fixture for Palace, but also taking into considering what you're saying, you're spot on. They can be quite tired.
Yeah. That's the
especially thing. If they've won the cup.
Yep, exactly. After that, they wouldn't even care what like the season is, because that winning the cup itself gives them European qualification.
Does. I mean, I'd love Palace to win it. Are you the same? You want Palace to win, yeah?
Oh, City. Oh, yeah, definitely. Hands down, every day. But like, yeah, I mean, so we don't know what. That's why I'm like, if you want to get rid of Palace assets before 37, be my guest. It's just that this week is such a good fixture, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Spurs, on the other hand, not looking at anyone.
No, I wouldn't say so. This stage of the season.
Yeah. The final game. Before we do go, Freddie mentioned Spurs playing in the Arctic Circle tonight. Indeed.
Well, could I just add on? So I feel bad interrupting.
Yeah.
So, I know Glint. Okay, some of their fans lit up fireworks at 2:37 a.m. outside Tottenham's hotel.
Specific time, but yeah.
Yeah, on a tweet. But that's not the plot twist. The plot twist, because they're in an Arctic Circle at this time of year, it's still light. The funny part, it's like, is it even a fireworks show?
More the noise than the light. But they'll do anything apart from having like a plastic pitch and whatnot. They'll do anything to get an advantage. I should say though, Bodo Glimt, obviously last game they did not have their best players that have done well for them. I don't know if they're available this game week or not, but yeah, it's not going to be easy because obviously Spurs did concede that one goal, which if it was 3-0 could be slightly bit more of a better buffer, but now it's like just 2-goal difference. I mean, Bodo Glimt get the first goal, squeaky bum time after that.
Or they will be nervous.
Yeah. So we'll see. I can guarantee you the drama will be entertaining. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, speaking of drama, I hate to start the segue for the last game, but it's Liverpool-Arsenal, and even as a supporter, I'll hate to admit, Arsenal are like Netflix. We just can't wait for the next season.
It's like quoting Patrice Evra.
I mean, I will admit it, even as a supporter, I hate to say it, but it's just how it is.
I have a lot to say about Arteta, but I'm just going to keep it to myself.
You can say what you like, to be honest.
I'm just disappointed in Arteta that he gave up on the league so early. I thought it was...
I am with him too.
I mean, Liverpool could have still won the league. I don't know. But I think you could have still put more pressure on them. You look at this, like the final few fixtures, right? Chelsea, Arsenal. Next week they play... Who do they play? I'm trying to have
Brighton away, is it?
I think so, yes. And then on the final day, they play... It's a bit more of a...
Palace at home.
Yeah. So it's not the easiest of fixtures, right? I mean, if we were still in a title race, anything could have happened. be honest, I would have thought. I was just a bit disappointed in Arteta in terms of that, in terms of the fact that the league was tossed off too easily. When there could have been a bit more pressure put on Liverpool. Outcome might
I'm
have
in
not
full
changed, but
agreement.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you, mate. Very disappointing season, even to throw away the FA Cup so early to the league. A good crack at the Champions League, but if that's going to happen, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
Got to
exactly.
have to focus on other priorities.
Plus, end of the day, if you want to be a big club, you kind of have to focus on everything.
Correct.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens next season. Obviously, Arsenal need a striker very badly. That was evident in tonight's Champions League performance as well. Lack of strikers definitely needed. Question from Andy: no minutes risk for Saka now?
Wouldn't think so, no. But my question is, would you go there for this week?
Maybe not for this week, but I think game week 38 now becomes an option. Then
It
again,
would be.
for those who have held Saka, obviously not a bad option. Would you start Saka this week though, if you held him, or would you bench him and maybe play like Rogers and Sa instead?
You could. If you've got a lot of transfers somehow tied up, I'm all for going Saka to KDB.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you're on 4 or 5 transfers and need to get rid of one, do it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, overall, I just wouldn't have him.
yeah, fair enough. He hasn't been doing too well as well recently.
He hasn't been the
Um,
same since the
yeah.
injury.
Trossard, do you think he could be a differential punt in the last game week? Maybe. Obviously, I'm looking way too
Yeah.
early, but
Yeah. I am in full agreement. I think he's probably been one of our best players this season in a side where we've just had a lot of average players, I believe, and just those who have performed so underwhelming for quite a long period of time.
yeah, because I'm looking like if I'm looking for a triple captaincy punt on the last game week, I mean, I don't. There are. I mean, he's not too bad to go for, to be honest. So yeah, we'll see. Liverpool, on the other hand, Salah is still getting frustrated because he's chasing that goal record, goals plus assist record. He still has to get 2 more goal involvements, I think, to break the record or match the record. Can this be the game? Now, obviously, Liverpool rotated quite a lot in the last fixture. Do you expect a stronger team this week? Or
I think so, yeah. It just creates more of a statement on them against the Gunners. 11 goals, 4 assists in his 17 league appearances against them. I mean, I understand why people want to go elsewhere, but if you still got Salah, you've what's that, 13 million in your squad,
yep,
and you're somehow not going to captain him. Why do you have him? Why are you putting so much budget on that and you're not even going for double points?
yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Now, captaincy,
Huge.
yes, I'm very open.
Very open this week.
Who are your candidates?
I'm still sticking on Salah at the moment.
Hmm.
Just think at home to Arsenal. I can still look to. I don't see us parking the bus or being defensive in this type of game or even getting anything. And I hope I'm wrong, but it's Liverpool, man. They've
Yeah,
been the best team of the year. And they going to Anfield again. You know what's so good about them is that they've wrapped up a title and they still have 2 more home fixtures just to celebrate and take it all in.
fair enough.
But close shouts, I believe, in Bumo.
Hmm.
Chris Wood, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a Brentford asset.
No, no love for any City players. Even the
KDB,
okay,
you have him.
yeah.
That's it.
Mamouche, no, probably not. Too risky.
Too risky.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think KDB, Embuemo, Chris Wood. I don't know about Chris Wood. His form hasn't been that great. But then you could say the same thing about Salah as well. But then Salah just, I feel like, different gravy at times.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is, I've noticed Forest, their attacking numbers have plummeted. Like, it's gone really down. Forest's attacking numbers. I don't know if that's just the team just being very tired or whatnot, but yeah, that has fallen. Cunha, would you consider, or just the picture is a bit too harder?
Just think there's better options.
Yeah.
That's all. But
Yeah.
I quite like the shout more than the Chris Wood one, despite me putting him in third. But after you saying that statistical statement, yeah, nah, not Forest.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
Fair enough. Okay, so we'll see. Obviously, for me, at the moment, I've got my bus team on Embuemo. But again, if there's plenty of captaincy options, it's good because that means rank wins will also be like a bit more higher, depending on which captain works out. Okay, so that's the fixtures. Let me move over. Obviously, this was the 3 game week projected goals. Obviously, City slightly higher. Liverpool up there as well, to be honest. If I was looking at triple captaincy, final day, Salah against Palace also, I don't mind it too much, but so we'll see, obviously. Then Arsenal and Villa. I'll move on from this because we'll be touching on it every week. Assistant manager. Now you've got the assistant managership available. I should also mention, before we touch on the assistant manager, for those who have bench boost or triple captain, I have bench boost or free hit. How would you approach it? You just play it based on whenever suits your team, or
I wasn't too sure if that was a question back to a community or me, but if I had this position,
Yeah.
I would be more inclined to play bench boost in 37 because having done, I don't mean to bring another of some sorts, but having done a few of these in recent times, which is 3 of them, there have been a lot of auto subs in Game Week 38, which puts danger in a bench boost in Game Week 38. Therefore, bench boost 37, free hit 38, you could just go for punts. That's a fun part. Triple captaincy on the final day just sounds fun.
Yep. That's
what about you?
I probably might be. So, bench boost, I think either 36 this week or 38 or 37, depending on how your team is structured. If you have better players for the bench this week, just play it this week and get rid of it. Otherwise, 37. I think free hit 38 at this moment is where I stand. Because I look at 37 and I go, there's the FA Cup as well to consider, and then like it's a bit more harder. Like whereas 38, you might be able to pile on the likes of Bournemouth and Arsenal, where some of those players might not be even owned by others. So there's a chance to pile on some teams. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. In terms of triple captaincy, just play it whichever week you feel like is the best week, to be honest. That's fine. Or if you want to play it based on like mini leagues or whatnot as well. And then assistant manager. We've got the assistant manager up here. Where are you leaning towards?
I love the top 3 because those are the only managers I'm tend to considering. We'll see the bus side shortly in 0.8 in the bank. That fits Frank. I love that. Using every possible penny. At the moment, I'm going to go Frank at number 1 and Nuno at number 2. I think I won't go City because I've already got triple cities. It's something to consider for managers where if there are triple on players, you can't go AM.
Yep.
That's about it. I mean, the rest is it where if there were table bonus opportunities for mid-table sides, yeah, you'd go there. But it's just so hard this week.
Yeah, look at the table bonus: Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton. No,
I think the best table bonus opportunity is Kieran McKenna. Like he could get a draw at home to Brentford, but
yeah,
they've got to be proper on it.
Yeah, but you probably wouldn't risk it.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yep. The other thing to consider is with so few game weeks to go, transfers are obviously precious, which means any manager you pick now, obviously no table bonus in 37 or 38 as well, most likely. You probably want a manager that you are happy with at least for the next 3 game weeks as well, potentially.
Yeah. It makes it so intriguing, doesn't it? Just got to have to plan it out. Can I ask you?
Yep.
Who are the best options in your eyes for this week? I know the stats are there, but in your perspective,
this week, if I was to look, like obviously with no table bonus, you want a team that can score a lot of goals. Because obviously the points are there. So I'd probably go Frank first, Pep second, and I go Nuno third because of the you never know with Forest, right? Like, chances of them scoring, they could even just take a 1-0 and be happy with a 1-0. Whereas with no table bonus, I'd want a few more extra goals to just get like 12, 13, like that points from a assistant manager up. So if you get 12 points from a system manager for one game week, it's not too bad. Because you can't chase the 20 pointer because no table bonus. You're looking at like 10 to 12 points, which is with a couple goals, you might be able to get that.
Yeah,
yeah. I think
correct.
Frank, high scoring, Pep, again, high scoring.
Okay, I got a question for you. If let's just say there was a few more table bonus opportunities, for example, I'm going to just put some managers out hypothetically.
Yeah.
If there were table bonus opportunities for Areola from Bournemouth, Herzler, Glasner, Pereira, Graham Potter, and Moyes, who would you pick? So we've got those three that we've mentioned already, but if you had to include those five and they did have table bonus, who would be your best fit as candidate?
Given like the fixtures for this week, right? So if I was to go, I would go Glasner because Spurs, I think Palace could get the win. In second, so you said Glasner, Pereira, Areola. Who else did you put? Moyes and Potter.
Yeah.
So I'd go Glasner. I'd then go. Who's at home? I'd go Areola and then Pereira. I'll target the home fixtures more.
Yeah, that's fair. If I had to pick three out of our bunch, I would go, Glasner. I'll go Pereira second. I just reckon Wolves and their table bonus opportunities have been exceptional since their new gaffers come in. I'll go Moyes third.
Fair enough, yeah.
Areola and then probably Graham Potter. If there were more opportunities, hypothetically.
Yep. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that luxury this week. So
it's a shocking week, isn't it?
Yeah, it is what it is. This is the problem. So I think one thing we've learned from the system managership is that you can't keep it till late because the tables ends up getting fixed in such a way that there isn't too much movement. So your opportunities for table bonus are also very limited because of that. So yeah. Cool. So that's assistant manager. Chaza, team. I'll read this out for those of you who are listening on the audio as well. Areola in goal, Munoz, Ruben Diaz and Guardiola in defense. Embuemo, Bowen, Eze and Salah with the armband. Watkins, Marmoush and Mateta up front. Obviously, assistant manager to be selected as well, with Rogers, Saliba and Konsa on the bench alongside Rea. Thoughts?
I want to check out, let's say.
Yeah, one free transfer, I should say, as well.
I've got one transfer, yeah. I just think I could put Munoz to the bench, but I think that defensive three is solid enough. No complaints with the midfield. It's more, do I want to get Mateta out for a better striker? But seeing Spurs or Watford, that's a good fixture for Palace. But when it gets to next week, game week 37, you're going to be less inclined getting rid of him. It's at home to Wolves. It'll be a bit silly.
But then, like I said, FA Cup fixture before that.
Yeah, that's right. So maybe Mateta to Wood, but I'm finding it quite difficult this week in terms of knowing what to do. Thomas Frank AM is the favourite.
Fair enough. So if you go Thomas Frank AM, obviously you'll have double Brentford at that point. And then there's really no reason to fully go a third Brentford as well. You could diversify and go like Forest if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I could go Nuno.
Yeah, I mean like a Forest player. Covered, like, if you're covering points.
Yeah, of course, coverage is quite important. Yeah, Chris Wood, I think, is probably the best shout. Or treble Brentford against Ipswich. No, I'd rather diversify. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. We'll see. So this is my team next. I've got Martinez in goal, Guardiola, Ruben Diaz, and Murillo in defense. Obviously, hopefully he's fit. We don't know. Embuemo with the armband, Rogers, Ismail Sarr, Salah, Isak Marmoush, and Mateta. On the bench, I got David Rea, Rashford, Munoz, and Saliba. Now, I was thinking Mateta.
How many transfers from bank?
One free transfer. Cash. I don't know. I have enough cash, I would say. Oh, I have 2.4.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I was thinking Mateta to Wissa was one thought. And Rashford to Elanga. And then this is where I had the do I bench Rogers or do I bench Ismail Sarr decision. I don't really need to take the hit because I can still
No,
see
you don't
11.
need to. No.
It's just I'm chasing that upside because I look at Rogers and Ismail Sarr and I go, chances of both of them hauling are very low. Like
I
both.
reckon start both.
Really?
So who was Rashford's suggestion?
Elanga against Leicester.
That's tough, doesn't it? I'll probably
Yeah,
go.
because that's also a high potential.
Yeah, I am in agreement. Bring Elanga in. Sorry, I missed what you said. I got caught up.
So Rashford to Elanga to bring him in for a hit, and Mateta to Wissa.
So you need to do one before the other.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I had the cash, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Or I could go ultra differential and go Rashford obviously to Elanga and remove Ismail Sarr, and bring in Kevin Schade as a Brentford, and just bench Mateta on the first sub.
To do that as well.
Yeah. So that's even more like differential. So I won't be going Visa. I'll be chasing against those who have Visa as a differential punt. So yeah, I have to think about it a bit more.
So great shouts.
Yep. So we'll see. Maybe deadline stream, when we get to deadline stream, obviously I'll have a think about it a bit more.
Oh yeah.
See. That's basically what I've got. Let me quickly check the chat to see if we have any questions, which we most likely might have had. Freddie said, "How about Rashford to Schade?" Almost the same, similar discussion, but instead of Rashford, I guess Rashford to Elanga, and then it's like Ismail Sarr maybe to Schade kind of situation. Combe is like, if I had Mateta and knew he was starting, I would keep him and swap him for Cunha. Palace would be tired mentally and physically after the FA Cup final. Fair enough. Combe is also saying Chaza, Moyes third, so rude. Sandri predicted PSG in the final for the Champions League. That's different. Freddy says Frank for the last 3 game weeks and use the transfers elsewhere for your assistant manager.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
I've got to have to take a week by week basis, to be fair.
Yeah, and then triple captain Saka at Southampton in 38 could be. I'll have to have a look and see. I haven't thought about it too much. And then bench boost free hit last game of the season. Save transfers to last game of the season. Yeah. That is basically, there are a few team related questions. I'll just answer one team related question because I know we got to head off as well. Here's a quick question from King Jr. My starting 11 currently for Game Week 36 is Pickford, Munoz, Williams, Guardiola, Bruno, Salah, Bowen, Mbuemo, and then Marmoush, Cunha, and Isak. And the bench is Josisa, Rogers, Kirkes, and Kivio. Anything I can fix? The 3-4-3. I mean, the only thing that I could, if you wanted to switch, would be Bruno to like a ADB or something.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Yep. So yeah, that's basically it. Chaza, anything to punt?
Well, we got the FPL Addicts podcast as per usual. This week we got a bit of a different angle about it. We got a cheeky deadline stream Saturday 12:30, which unfortunately clashes with yours. So I am sorry if I'm going to steal any percentage of your viewership, but have fun. I'm going to hear a lot of fun waffling to reading to, and possibly make a last minute move that final hour.
Ooh, okay.
No.
So everyone has to check out and see what exactly Chaza is going to do. Few more questions. Captain Woods, I guess we mentioned Wood as a captaincy option, but we did mention a few others before that, so do check the video before that. Goalkeeper, start Henderson or Areola this week?
Figure out who Palace are playing for mine.
Palace are playing...
Yeah. Gotcha. I'm going to go for Henderson.
Yep, fair enough. If you had to choose between Areola and Rhea,
I've got the same.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to ask.
I'm going to go Areola.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. Combe is looking at Visa captaincy. And then that's basically it. All right. thank you, everyone. Shout out to everyone who's been in the chat as well. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and help us to try and get to 1K subscribers as well. Com is asking any song this week. I think you'll have to wait and stay tuned for the FPL Addicts pod instead, probably, unless you have one.
Gonna dance the night away. Now Chatbox is going to conclude his podcast yet again. Bless me. There you go.
There we go. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe as well, and go follow Chaza on X, on Blue Sky, and obviously
at Chaza Roberts.
Yep.
Blue Sky's an interesting app. Threads is also an interesting app.
Instagram
at Chaza Roberts. A bit more entertainment on the Instagram stories.
Yep.
I'll say that.
Yep. And obviously FPL Addicts Pod on YouTube. Thank you all. Links will be in the description, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.